Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Jacob.
Hey, we're talking about a type of food. I guess it's an ingredient that you would put in food or comes in food naturally. And that's something called caffeine, which everyone in Taiwan, I think, has heard of before. The translation for it is very close to the English pronunciation. So you guys know what I'm talking about, caffeine. And a lot of people, you know, when they wake up in the morning, they don't feel very alert or very lively. And some people always say, I need a cup of coffee before, I want to talk to anybody.
Right.
Yeah. I don't drink coffee or tea. So
no coffee or tea?
Caffeine is something I don't want to get addicted to. Once you're addicted to it, you have to have it.
It's true.
And I did get addicted to aspirin that had caffeine in it. And then getting off of it, if you try to kick the habit or get rid of that caffeine addiction, you have to suffer headaches that are awful. So we call it the caffeine headache when you try to get rid of your caffeine addiction.
Right. It can be kind of serious. I mean, if you're used to drinking 2 or 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day, and then, you don't get any coffee or tea, and then you don't have the caffeine, it can be difficult for your body to accept that change.
You have to adjust.
Right. But for a lot of people, if they just have 1 cup a day, I don't think anyone is going to be addicted to caffeine, let's say.
You still get addicted to it emotionally. I have friends, like, if they don't have that cup of coffee, they just can't deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are different ways to get addicted to things, probably. So you only have 1 cup of coffee a day, huh?
Yeah, I think 1 is good. I mean, you kind of people enjoy sort of maybe the social aspect of
ritual,
coffee.
Yeah.
Like drinking, just drinking the taste of coffee and kind of enjoying it with breakfast or something.
I love the smell.
Actually, in Taiwan now, coffee is tea. Taiwan was always more of a tea place, right? Years ago. But now coffee is becoming just as popular. And so you can walk down the street and a cafe will actually be roasting the beans and the smell kind of comes out onto the street and you smell it.
Nice.
It can be very nice.
It's very, very nice. I do like the smell of coffee. I don't like the smell of tea, though.
Okay.
'Cause for me, it smells like grass. And I think, why do people, want to drink grass or, hay that horses eat? But I know it's a really big part of the culture.
For sure.
And I have friends who still, they have their cup of tea, but they like their coffee too.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about caffeine. Is it helpful or harmful? I think it depends on how much you use or that you put into your body. But first, as we always do, guys, we're going to read through day 1.
The vast majority of the world's adult population observes a simple daily ritual. Waking bleary-eyed from insufficient sleep, they reach for coffee or tea, depending on where they are in the world and their own personal preferences. After consuming a cup of their preferred beverage, they're ready to face the day. What property of coffee and tea makes this possible? Both contain a chemical called caffeine, and it's a huge factor in the popularity of these drinks. Caffeine is not only found in coffee and tea, though. This natural stimulant is also naturally in most chocolate and is added to some sodas during the manufacturing process. As a stimulant, caffeine promotes feelings of alertness and provides its users with energy. For this reason, entrepreneurs often try to market new products with added caffeine as beneficial for workers in need of energy. A number of these products, such as caffeinated gummy candies and chewing gum, are already for sale in some parts of the world. But how does it work? In plants, caffeine is a defense mechanism. Its bitterness disgusts insects that might try to eat the plant. When humans eat or drink something that contains caffeine, though, we aren't put off by its flavor. Instead, the compound stimulates the nervous system by influencing the brain's dopamine signaling process. The brain uses increased amounts of this chemical to control things like the motivation to accomplish tasks. At the same time, caffeine connects to certain cells in the brain that usually receive a chemical called adenosine. Adenosine makes people feel relaxed and tired. So, by blocking it, caffeine keeps the brain alert. It's no wonder people adore it.
Okay, guys, let's get started. Caffeine, what is it? Well, it's actually a crystalline compound, if you want to look up the scientific definition. It's found in tea and coffee plants and in some chocolates, we'll find out. It's a stimulant, which means it affects your nervous system, your central nervous system. I know that if I have for example, a can of soda that has caffeine. For example, I think Fanta Orange, which I really like, has some caffeine in it.
I didn't know that.
And I always feel very energetic after I have it.
Okay.
I try not to drink any of that stuff at night because then I can't sleep. That affects me more than I think some people. But yeah, it makes you feel like you have more energy. And I think a lot of people after lunch, when they're feeling that sleepiness that comes over them, they might want to go grab a quick cup of coffee or maybe have a soda that has caffeine in it, like Coke or Pepsi, one of those things. Well, that's caffeine. So here's the title. Is it helpful or harmful? We're going to talk about the benefits of caffeine and maybe some of the drawbacks as well.
Okay, let's start. The vast majority, so many people, the majority would be maybe more than half of the world's adult population. So here we're saying adults like caffeine. Kids like it too. When kids get caffeine, they tend to get really excited, right? Like really, really hyper.
When I was growing up, we didn't give kids caffeine.
Right.
Oh, no.
So you give a kid a can of Coke, and then you notice that they're like jumping around the house and running around and just going crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so a vast majority of the world's adult population observes a simple daily ritual. Okay, now a ritual is something that can be very important to people. I like to think of a ritual as something you do regularly, something that you do perhaps even every day. And it could be something that's important to you. For some people, exercise is a ritual. They feel like they have to exercise every day to stay in shape or to stay healthy. For my mom, cooking is something of a ritual. She will always want to prepare something for dinner at night because it will help her kind of relax and wind the day down. Another ritual could be people pray. That might be a ritual for them, for certain people.
Right. And I think that does bring some peace and calmness into your life. I wanted to correct what I said earlier. It's not Fanta Orange that has caffeine. It's Sun-Kissed Orange.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't know if they sell it here in Taiwan.
I haven't seen it here, no.
But yeah, Sun-Kissed and Barks Root Beer, which I was loving as a kid, they added caffeine later too. So anyway, yeah, we don't have Sun-Kissed Orange, but it's similar to that Fanta Orange that you can buy here.
Yes.
Yeah, I do love orange and grape pop, I'll admit it. So yeah, those rituals can be very soothing and calming to people. I think I looked up, because I thought, how do we describe the difference between routine and a ritual? And someone made a good point about having a ritual having more of a purpose to it.
Okay.
And a routine is like, I get up and I brush my teeth.
Brush your teeth is a routine. Yeah, it's maybe not a ritual.
But maybe, praying or doing meditation or yoga, that's more of a ritual. It brings something that's more peaceful and fulfilling into your life. So sometimes people wake up bleary-eyed. Bleary-eyed just means, when you first open your eyes after you've been asleep, it's kind of fuzzy. That's kind of what that means, bleary-eyed. From insufficient sleep. A lot of us don't get enough sleep, and they reach for that coffee or tea to get them going, kind of charge their engine. Some people, instead of coffee, want to drink a cup of tea, depending on where they are in the world, and their own personal preferences. Your preference is just what you choose if you have a choice among different choices. So my preference is to wear blue rather than orange or yellow. Or if I have a choice when I go out to eat, my preference is having a rice dish rather than a noodle dish. Those are preferences, choices that you have. So if you like something, you can pick it among different things. So you choose it. That's what you choose. I prefer is the verb form. I prefer to wear blue rather than orange or yellow.
That's right. Yeah, we often talk about a musical preference or a color preference. Just things that you like, things you prefer. So after consuming a cup of their preferred beverage, we have preference and then we have the word preferred here to modify beverage. And beverage, of course, is just a drink. Something you drink is a beverage. They're ready to face the day. Now, what property of coffee and tea makes this possible? Okay, what is it about coffee and tea that gives people this ability to face the day? Both contain a chemical called caffeine. And it's a huge factor in the popularity of these drinks. Okay, so both tea and coffee have this natural chemical, right? Caffeine isn't something that people add to coffee or tea. It's in there naturally. And this is why these drinks are very popular, because of caffeine.
Yeah, so moving on to the second paragraph, it says that caffeine is not only found in coffee and tea, though. This natural stimulant is also naturally in most chocolate and is added to some sodas during the manufacturing process. So yeah, I mentioned that some chocolate, most chocolate, it says here, has caffeine. Depends on which kind you're eating. You might want to check into that. I've never found that candy bars really gives me much of a high. If I eat candy.
Really?
Sugar gets you going too,
high,
so it's hard to tell the difference. So as a stimulant is, again, something that just gets your central nervous system going. It gets you active and feeling like you want to get out there and get moving. It always makes me want to clean my house if I have a little caffeine.
Okay.
I just feel more, productive. I don't want to sit and just surf the internet. I want to get up and do something. So it's found in different things naturally. As Jacob said, it's in coffee and tea naturally. You can buy decaffeinated coffee or decaffeinated tea. There are some teas, especially the fruit and some of the herbal teas, they don't have caffeine in them. If you really love tea, you should reach for those, especially right before you go to bed. Don't drink too much caffeine before then. So it says here it's a stimulant and it promotes feelings of alertness. Alertness is a noun, of course, but it's really comes from that adjective alert that we use much more often. It just means you're giving all your attention to what's happening in front of you or what's being said. You have to be on alert if you're driving a car or riding a scooter, because an accident can happen at any moment. So you want to be on alert, or you need a lot of alertness if you're out there on the road. And again, it just means you're really focusing on what's going on. We're going to continue talking about this, guys, but first we're going to take a quick break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, 我是派老师。今天讲解的是11月2号 Unit2 Caffeine, Helpful or Harmful 第一天的课程。正式讲解前，我想问问听众，目前的精神状态怎么样？清醒吗？还是觉得昏昏欲睡？如果觉得昏昏欲睡，我建议大家先喝杯咖啡提提神。今天的课程内容跟大家解释为何咖啡因可以提神。好，我们现在一起来看看学习重点，请看到第一段的第一句 The vast majority 这一句，请同学特别注意这个句子里面的动词 observe 在这边并不是观察的意思，而是遵守奉行某个法律规则或习俗。我们回到文章这句话，意思就是说，世界上多数的成年人每天都会进行一项简单的仪式。好，接下来请看到第二句 waking bleary-eyed from insufficient sleep 这个句子，请同学注意，一个句子如果以现在分词 或者过去分词开头，极有可能是分词构句。所以我们知道这个句子分词构句的部分，它跟后面的主要子句主词是一样的。是谁睡眼惺忪呢？就是指这个大人，就后面的这个 they 所代替的睡眼惺忪的大人。好，接下来请同学看到第4个句子。我想问问同学，请看 What property of coffee and tea makes this possible？ 这个 this 所代替的是什么？找到答案了吗？就是上一句的，喝完一杯自己喜好的饮料，就准备好面对一整天了。再来，请同学看到第5个句子，要请同学特别要看懂这一句哦。我请问大家，为什么茶和咖啡这么受欢迎呢？答案就在这里，因为它含有咖啡因。这句话就是证据 Both contain a chemical called caffeine。 再来，请同学看到第2段的第2个句子，不是只有咖啡和茶有咖啡因，哪里还可以找得到呢？答案就在第2句 In most chocolate， 在多数的巧克力里面也有。再来，请同学注意第2段的第3个句子当中有 alertness 这个字，为什么咖啡因会有人喜欢呢？最主要是因为呢，它可以带给我们有一种比较清醒，让我们的脑袋呢保持清醒。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about caffeine. It's our food unit. When we left you, we were talking about how caffeine promotes or gives you feelings of alertness and provides its users with energy. Why don't you continue, Jacob?
Sure. Yeah, a teacher will often, if a teacher is standing up in front of the class and will look out on his or her students, he or she will look for this alertness, right? They don't want anyone falling asleep during class. Okay, so yeah, caffeine helps us by giving us this feeling of being alert or alertness, and it gives us energy. And for this reason, entrepreneurs often try to market new products with added caffeine. Okay, now an entrepreneur would be basically, it's a business person. It's someone who maybe has a company or they invent a product and they kind of want to sell that product. So an entrepreneur will be anyone who develops a product, sells a product, or it doesn't have to be a product. It could even be an idea or something like that.
A service,
A service could be, an entrepreneur could also have a service. So someone like who made Tesla, what's his name?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is a very famous entrepreneur these days. Okay, so entrepreneurs, what they're doing is they're trying to market products with added caffeine. Okay, they see that everyone these days is very tired. They don't get enough sleep. So how can we help them? How can we fix this? Well, this is a money-making opportunity. Let's make a product that gives workers energy, or even students energy, anyone. A number of these products, such as caffeinated gummy candies and chewing gum, are already for sale in some parts of the world. Now, this is a little bit tricky because these are candy, right? And if we're adding a lot of caffeine to candy, who likes to eat candy the most? Kids like to eat candy the most. And so what we're doing is we're kind of giving kids caffeine, giving kids this, you can call it a drug. It's not like a very serious drug, but it's still a drug.
It's still a drug,
in that it changes your behavior, or it changes your the way you act, let's say. And so, yeah, this could be dangerous when we start putting caffeine in things that kids like. But at the same time, I guess it's already in soda, and kids love soda, right? So maybe not a huge deal. I want to just point out one more thing. In Taiwan, I see commercials for shampoo with caffeine. Have you seen that?
No.
You can go to your Watson's or your Cosmed, and you can buy a shampoo with caffeine. And I always wondered, is that because it helps your hair grow, or does it help your head, or does the body absorb the caffeine and then it wakes you up? Because in Taiwan we shower at night, right? So who wants to wash their hair with caffeine shampoo at night and then just ready to go to sleep and, oh, I can't sleep because I just used caffeinated shampoo. I don't know.
I'm going to have to look that up because I have no idea why they would put it in shampoo.
Right.
It is added to some things in women's products, but that one is new to me. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, gummy candies. I think of gummy bears. So
yeah,
I'm not in favor. I don't support giving kids caffeine. I think they have enough to deal with. So moving on to the next paragraph, but how does it work? Well, in plants, caffeine is a defense mechanism. What's a defense mechanism? It's something that usually it's a reaction in your body that protects you from some sort of illness or danger. This plant feels like it's being attacked. So a defense mechanism would help protect that plant from some predator or some sort of animal that wants to eat it, I guess. Well, if you eat caffeine raw, caffeine and stuff, it's just bitter. It's really awful tasting. So that bitterness helps protect itself from insects that want to eat the plant. If something disgusts you, disgust is a verb, it just means something really puts you off. You hate it. You find it annoying. It makes you kind of sick. It's a really strong feeling of dislike. And sometimes it does make you feel sick. I once saw a cockroach in someone's food. I was so disgusted I couldn't eat. That made me feel really sick. So it's usually something really unpleasant.
Yeah.
So it's bitterness disgusts insects that try to eat the plant. When humans eat or drink something that contains caffeine, though, we aren't put off by its flavor. To be put off by something means something bothers you so much that you don't want to do it, or you don't want to try something, or you dislike it to the point that you don't want to give it a try. Don't let the restaurant's decor put you off because the food's really good. If something puts you off, it keeps you from doing or trying something. So, yeah. Humans like caffeine, and we aren't put off by its flavor because it's usually added to something we enjoy with lots of sugar.
Right. A lot of people do like to put sugar in their coffee and tea. And then when you do that, it kind of... if we think of coffee and tea as having good health properties, when you add all the milk and the sugar and everything, then it ends up going from something healthy to something maybe not very healthy.
Not so healthy.
So you got to be careful about that. Let's continue. Instead, the compound stimulates the nervous system. Okay, again, we talk about how it's a stimulant, and here is the verb stimulate. Okay, so it kind of makes the nervous system, kind of gives it a little bit of a jolt or gives it a little charge. And it does it by influencing the brain's dopamine signaling process. Okay, so this is a chemical, dopamine. And when we have dopamine in our brains, it actually makes us feel good. It kind of is a very pleasant feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we want our body to produce this chemical called dopamine. So the brain uses increased amounts of this chemical to control things like the motivation to accomplish tasks. Okay, so when we have this chemical going in our brain, we feel like we want to do stuff. We want to do our job. We want to get things done. Okay, motivation is that drive that we have in us to do things and to accomplish tasks. At the same time, caffeine connects to certain cells in the brain that usually receive a chemical called adenosine. Okay, so we have dopamine and we have adenosine. And these two chemicals, they sound like they're kind of counteracting each other, right?
Yeah, like the opposite from each other, right?
Working against each other. So adenosine makes people feel relaxed and tired. Okay, so the adenosine kind of brings us down, whereas the dopamine kind of picks us up a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to try to find a balance between these two chemicals.
So adenosine makes people feel relaxed and tired, as Jacob just said. So by blocking it, caffeine keeps the brain alert. So it's no wonder people adore it. Yeah, sometimes, especially if you're studying for finals or you're trying to finish a research paper, I've gone to the store just to buy caffeine so I could stay awake long enough. I no longer have to do that anymore. I'm not a student, but it's very hard then to get your body back to its normal patterns.
Sure.
So be careful with that, guys. My brother and I were laughing. He was chugging down Red Bull, trying to stay awake
Red Bull, I think they market it as being caffeinated, right? It has extra caffeine.
So much caffeine,
So you drink it, and then it even, like, for a lot of people, like, it just immediately affects us.
Yeah,
you know? And it's not great.
I would stay away from Red Bull. So that was the conversation. It's not good for you. There are reasons why. We want to keep our bodies free from drugs if possible, so we can stay as healthy as we can. Okay, guys, we have one more day to talk about caffeine. We're going to talk about this some more. I think it's really important for people to understand a little bit more about what they're taking into their bodies. But for today, our time is up. We're going to listen to our Chinese teacher one more time, and then we'll be back to say goodbye.
好，我们接着看第二段的第4句哦。请同学看到，在逗点之后呢，是主要子句的地方。有一些人创业的时候，他们会卖一些所谓提神的饮料。请注意 market 这个动词，就是指这些创业的人，他们如何去行销呢？添加咖啡因的新产品，他们常常会说，这些对需要能量、活力的工作者会有很大的帮助。再来，请看到第5个句子的 for sale， 请同学特别注意，这是 for sale， 也就是用来贩售的，我们是可以在市面上买得到的。on sale 呢，所指的则是这个东西，它现在是在特惠当中。好，请同学看到第3段的第2个句子，那到底咖啡因为什么会在植物里面找得到呢？因为植物当中的咖啡因其实是一种防卫机制，也因为它的口感是苦的，所以虫不吃。再来，请看到第3个句子，请同学特别注意到这个句子的主要动词 We aren't put off by its flavor。 We 所代替的就是前面的人类。人类怎么样呢？不会因为这种苦的感觉而倒胃口，而感到反感。这里的 put off 并不是拖延延后的意思。再来，要请同学看到第5个句子 The brain uses increased amounts of this chemical to control things like the motivation to accomplish tasks。 我们的大脑呢，其实也会运用这个增量的化学物质来控制一些东西。什么样子的东西啊？就是我们完成工作的动机。我要请同学看一下这个 this chemical， 能不能找出答案来？它指的是什么样的化学物质呢？没错，就是前面所提过的 dopamine 多巴胺。好的，那再请同学看到后面在第6、第7个句子，这里呢进一步的去解释为什么咖啡因能够让我们提神醒脑。第6、第7句就是解释这2句话的意思是说，咖啡因也会连接大脑当中的某些细胞，这些细胞它们通常会接收一种叫做腺苷酸的化学物质。腺苷酸是什么呢？它会让我们感到放松，那当然可能也会觉得有点疲累。那咖啡因可以让我们的大脑呢去阻断不再吸收这个腺苷酸，所以大脑就能够保持警觉。好，以上就是我们针对第1天课程的中文讲解，谢谢。
That's it, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. For English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Jacob. Bye-bye.